Hi guys, my name is Ochuko and welcome to the BP Talks. And as you know, we have interesting industry conversations here in marketing. Today I have someone very, very interesting here. She's head of marketing at Lush, Nigeria. I want to say West Africa. And her name is Rita Kakka. Fantastic to have you on the show. Yeah.
Thank you.
How excited are you to be here in a scale of 1 to 10?
I'm excited on a scale of 1 to 10 at 11 because this is my first podcast, which I'm coming for. That's why I'm really, really excited to share my thoughts and have a discussion with you as well today.
Fantastic. Can you give me a little bit of, background as to Rita? Where is she from? Who is Rita?
If I have to tell you a story, which is a little story of who this character called Ritambara Kakka or Rita for short is. She's a marketing leader, an enthusiast in marketing since her childhood. She always used to dream about where she can take her thoughts to, how far her creativity can go. And she was always curious and intrigued by fashion. So blending fashion and beauty and marketing is something what excites her. She was passionate about. She comes from a very little town in India, which is called Saharanpur, Uttar Pradesh, far away from the entire world. And she then pursues her dream to go out of the city to a bigger city and then a metro city in India. And then from that metro city, she gets hired out of the country, which is supposedly Nigeria, where she did not even had her passport. She had never traveled out of her country.
Oh, really?
She had no idea where Nigeria was on the map. She was really scared because everybody was scaring her to death that Nigeria is one of the scariest country in the world.
Wow.
And all the relatives of this little girl were scaring the parents as well, to telling them, they were not having emotions of them thinking, even to think of sending the daughter to Nigeria. That's how sad it was. Whereas the girl was really firm on thinking that she wants to go on to this adventure and really find out for herself where Nigeria is.
Wow.
And then she spoke to one of the super seniors, got her parents to talk to her parents, and then flew to Nigeria. And that's how she's sitting here, building her career in sales and marketing across Africa, I have to say.
Wow.
After traveling 21 countries in the world now.
Okay.
And has become a traveler and has found out that she loves traveling. She's curious about culture. She's curious about understanding different countries, diverse languages, diverse cultures. And that's what is deepening the knowledge what she has gained so far. And that's how she has been able to apply all this knowledge in the field of marketing where she sits.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
big.
that's what this little girl is. And she eventually found out that she's also a fitness enthusiast. So she went into yoga, followed by strength training, followed by 10-kilometer runs now. She does that. And she's a mother to 2 cute little dogs.
Okay.
And a wife and a daughter and a sister to a beautiful brother who is also in Nigeria, by the way.
Okay.
Just got married and then brought his wife to Nigeria as well.
Influenced by you.
Yes. So that's my little introduction.
Wow. Absolutely amazing. And it's so interesting to know that you started off your journey as a young, maybe let's say naive young lady who's trying to take an adventure into a land. She's just here for the first time. I'm not sure you really knew anybody who had gone to Nigeria from India around you.
No, I did not even know where Nigeria was.
Wow. That's like a huge leap of faith, like a huge step for you.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that really taught you a lot of things over the years.
Yeah.
Maybe I should start by saying, tell me what your first step into marketing looked like.
My first step into marketing, I wouldn't say started as marketing. I would say it started as sales, because for any good marketeer, you should be a good salesperson or a saleswoman.
Fantastic.
I started rigorously on ground, working, following Okada riders in Nigeria. Although with my car, but I was following Okada riders. I was following house to house vans on the streets of Lagos, going from Ikorodu to Efe to
That's really rugged.
Yanapaja to Mushin to Abekuta and
That's
everything.
extremely rugged. Like when I mean extremely rugged, like extremely rugged.
That's what teaches you the real marketing, because on the ground is when you can understand what the real Nigeria is, who the real Nigerian consumer is, what do they feel like, what do they really, what are their aspirations, what is it that they understand, how exactly the consumer of this country behave. And yeah, that's where I would say my journey started, and that's what I would suggest anybody who is watching this podcast to also go and do. If you are saying that you really want to become a marketing person, go and first become a salesperson. Learn sales, learn your consumers, understand about your consumers, and then think about becoming a marketer.
Our Nigeria market here is so interesting and it's peculiar. There's a Nigerian author who wrote the book, How to Sell to Nigerians. And that's to tell you that Nigerians are a unique set of individuals. You don't just bring anything to the market for them to just sell, right? There's a psychology behind it. There is some form of understanding behind how you market to the Nigerian market. And from our little interaction, you seem to have sold many ideas, a couple of brands, a couple of products to the Nigerian market. What's one thing that you know that you cannot ignore is a character of the Nigerian market when you're selling a product to them? What's one thing that you know that is common within Nigerians when you sell a product to them?
What I have seen is product is always, when I came to Africa, I always used to believe product is your entry ticket, right? Product quality was everything. But when I came here, I saw that it's just an entry ticket. Perception beats product.
Okay.
Perception beats product quality. And that's where your communication comes, where you need to understand what your consumers want, where the gap is. And for a Nigerian consumer, it's extremely important that there is a quality at the right price.
Say that again.
A Nigerian consumer wants good quality product at the right price.
Okay.
Because this is an emerging market. For brands or new brands to come into this market and say that we want to sell premium products or luxury products to a Nigerian market. Yes, there is a market, but a Nigerian consumer is very smart. They want the right product, value product at the right pricing. You cannot just sell, crap to them and then say that, this is the best product in the world. They are not going to accept it. So you cannot go wrong with your quality. And also you have to be mindful of your pricing strategy in this market. That's what I have seen.
That means price has a huge role to play in this conversation.
It has. So that's where the whole strategy goes into this market, where you need to get that right product at the right price, because you don't have as much to play.
How tough has that been for some of your campaigns in terms of pricing? Because sometimes getting the right price, and when it comes to, and I'm speaking from the business side of things, you want to give the right price, but you don't want it to be at the detriment of the business owner, the business, right? You want to sell, but you don't want to also be at a loss, right? How difficult has it been, or what are the challenges you've noticed trying to, of course, sell at the right price? What has the challenges been like?
I would say challenges are always there, but the group where I work, the entire group is well built on the values of giving the right quality to the consumers. So I'm working with Tolaram Group, where we have built the brands, the likes of Indomie, Dano, Power Oil, Colgate, Hypo, Mini, Kellogg's, right? So we have, and then Lush Hair, of course. So we always believe in giving the right product, quality product to the consumers. And we know, because we are manufacturers, we know how the backward integration helps, how the manufacturing helps in terms of getting that right price for the consumers. So if you are importing, yes, it's difficult, but because we have mastered the art of manufacturing in this particular country, and also the manufacturing arm and the operational excellency, that gives us the edge to give that right price to the consumers, because it's a very economic currency here is quite unpredictable, right? Everybody knows that. So for us, the edge is that's what the edge is for us, because we have the right understanding of the operations and the excellence in the manufacturing arms.
Wow. Absolutely amazing. I mean, a few minutes into the conversation, I'm completely hooked. Here's one interesting question that I've been burning to ask you, and that is, what turns a regular product into a must-have brand in the beauty space?
I would say for beauty, right? Having worked in multiple countries for beauty, and I did not mention this, I have worked in India for a professional skincare brand called Ochuko.
Okay.
And there I saw, in India, the products, the consumers are really after efficacy of the product. They want to believe what the aestheticians are saying, what the dermatologists are saying, what the stylists are saying, or the salon owners are saying. So they want to really trust the brands, what these set of audiences are vouching for, because efficacy is important in that country. When I came here, it's a bit different here, because here the products are built on a different aspect. Like, for example, if I have to give you an example of Lush Hair, here for Lush Hair, you're not just selling hair, you're selling expression, you're selling identity, you're selling confidence, you're selling transformation for that lady or the woman who is looking to look beautiful in any room where she walks. She needs to know how your product makes her feel, not just application of the product, not just functionality of the product.
That simply you are after selling perception.
Yeah. So your product, like I said earlier as well, your product is just the entry ticket. Perception would beat the product.
Wow. That's an interesting part of the conversation, because when you talk about perception, you also want to hit the right perception. Because, you can go after one other brand can say, okay, Lush is selling confidence. I always sell confidence because it seems like that's what's moving the market, right? But on the other hand, you realize that there are other things that you can actually sell in order to gain your own, your own market share. And this is so important in this conversation, because I want to ask you, is product quality enough, or does marketing ultimately drive brand obsession?
Both are important. Whereas for a few brands, they obsess about marketing and leave the product quality. They are obsessed about just communicating and virality. Virality is a short term and the most expensive form of marketing, is what I would say. It's just the expensive entertainment for the consumers.
Why expensive?
It's expensive because virality is not a fluke. You have to ensure that you are driving that virality in a sense as well, because it's like you're creating trends.
So what you're eventually saying is that variety does not always equal good marketing.
I'm not saying it's not good marketing, it's not long term.
Okay.
For brands, for example, if I have to quote you, a few brands who really win in beauty, they reiterate the same messages over and over and over consistently for years. For example, L'Oreal, right? They've been saying you're worth it for years. They have the product consistency, they have the packaging, the visibility consistency, and that is how they have been able to command the trust in the consumers' minds. They are not just saying it today, making it viral, and tomorrow going down. They are consistently doing that thing every single day for years. That is what makes a product win. It's not just a short tactical campaign that would make a beauty brand win or make it iconic in any of the countries. You have to ensure that you have that science backed right quality product for that local market fit, which is culturally resonating with those consumers. And that is how you build your campaigns, which are communicating the right thing to those consumers. Right.
That's interesting. And what you're saying means that it's important that one shouldn't just focus on virality. But if one should not also just focus on virality, would you suggest that it's important that brands go after developing a community around their product as opposed to just doing regular marketing? What would you say is the importance of owning the community, particularly when it has to do with marketing? It could be a digital community, it could be physical. What would you say? What's the importance of community building when it comes to marketing?
I would say community building was, is, and tomorrow's future of marketing and of brands. Why I'm saying that is because now we know that every single influencer or person on social media is, launching their own brands. Why are they able to sell those products to those consumers who are following them? They are just followers. But they are able to sell it because that's their community. Quoting another example from Lush Hair point of view, right? There are consumers who are a community for us, whereas on the other hand, there are people who are, stylists who are standing behind the salon chair, who are the real decision makers.
Exactly.
And that's one of the key success metrics for Lush Hair because we had never left them. We started with them in 2018. Until today, we are holding their hands.
Wow.
So tight. The hairdresser community or the hairstylist community is, it's even more important than consumers to us because they are the ones who are actually using the product. They are making that choice and they are also molding the choice of the people who are bringing their own products to use. They can influence it by just, infusing a few words in their customer's mind. And the customer would trust the stylist more than an Instagram ad because they trust them.
Wow. You're making such a powerful point. And it's leading to, so I think in a very unique way. And sometimes I like to just assume what the future would look like. What the internet is now wasn't what it was 20 years ago, 15 years ago. And sometimes I ask myself some interesting questions. And I'd like to ask you a question. In the beauty space, we see a lot of trends to influencers, even with brands. If you're going to look at the future, what do you think marketing will look like futuristically with the internet? Or let me ask it in this way, and I think this is much more presentable. If the internet disappeared now, or in the next 10 years, based on your own experience and based on the things you've seen in our Nigerian market, what would you say is the best way to sell to a Nigerian if the internet disappeared today?
Internet or no internet, communities still win, which we just discussed.
Yeah.
And
what would be your tactic to even develop a community? Because someone's listening right now and maybe they have some type of, hair brand. Maybe they want to develop some type of, products in the beauty space. And they're saying, I don't have followers. Almost synonymous to saying, I don't have the internet prowess, right, to push the marketing of this product. If I want to go through the route of community building, what steps do I really need to start taking to have a great community?
to build a community is, first of all, identifying who your audience is.
Fantastic.
And what is the gap in this market for that audience. Just to give you an instance, we have a brand called Nutrify for Tolarang Group as well. It's a supplements brand. And recently, we found out that running is getting really viral, and it's catching attention in the entire world. Whereas in Nigeria, it has not caught that attention as of now, that much as it has in the entire world. So for them, they knew that that's something what the audience who is into fitness, who are the fitness enthusiasts would like. And that's how they started their run club and started building that community of run club. So that's one example, right? Where
that's fantastic.
You have your audience is fitness enthusiasts.
Yeah.
And then you have options. You could start a run club, or you could start, like a CrossFit training, or you could start, it's something into fitness. So you need to put your pointers where exactly your audience sits. What is it that their gap is in today's market, right? In today's world. And that's how you need to find them and then build that audience and then sell to them.
Wow. Amazing. You really stressed about the fact that you've gone to different places in Lagos just because you were trying to understand what the market looks like. And I'm going to ask you this question. What or how do you create campaigns that people not only see but remember? And this question stems from a place of one of the most expensive things today is attention. It's so difficult to get the attention of people, particularly online, offline, right? So how does one create a brand that is not just, you don't just want people to see, but you want them to remember? A brand that leaves a lasting impression in the hearts and the minds of the consumers.
Attention is temporary. So it's what is the experience that you're giving to the consumer through your product and when they are coming to experience your brand offline as well as online. That's what makes a difference. And that is what we are doing for Lush Hair, where we have started a campaign called Live the Soft Life for our hair care range, where we know that the hair has to be healthy from inside and soft, easy to maintain from inside before you put an extension to it for it to look beautiful. So that's the campaign all about, where a girl is literally living the soft life, but in functional ways as well. Her hair from the inside is also soft. So we merged that functionality into the real experience of a Nigerian lady where she does not want stress in her life and wants to enjoy her life. So that is how our experience around Live the Soft Life and the hair care range is. So when they come to our store stands or booths and all, they are served mocktails, or they are given pedicures, manicures, massages, and it has nothing to do with the brand, but the experience that we're trying to create with that soft life experience that we want to provide to the consumers is what is making it unique. So whenever they would see something around stress-free life, enjoyment life, they are going to remember Lush hair, and they are going to remember hair care products, and then they are going to apply those products and honestly see the results. Because the relaxer what we created was one of the best products that we created after understanding the gap in the market, where we saw that women and the kids and the teens who were relaxing their hair literally were crying outside the salons, or even while getting their hair relaxed. They used to cry because it burns. It gives an irritation while they apply the relaxer on the hair, and they have to leave it for long before they wash. So we saw that it was a gap, and the formulation which we as a team worked on, it has now brought a product into the market which people come to our DMs and messages on the comment section, and they say that this is the product which has not burnt my scalp. This is the product which is not giving me irritation. So that is how you build the right product and that provide experience.
Wow. Amazing. Now, on that chair you're sitting, I want you to speak to this. What's one notion, what's one idea that people have about marketing that you'd like to speak to and debunk and correct if anybody's to listen to this conversation?
I would say we already discussed about quality. We discussed about consistency. We discussed about perception. One highly underrated detail about, or the part of marketing, what I feel is not looked into or not seen as marketing, is distribution. So for me, distribution is the first touch point where your product is living. Your real product, if we talk about Nigerian market, it sits in the open market. It sits in the salons, for example, if it is hair. Or if it is, drinks, it's sitting in bars, for example, or restaurants or hotels. Or if we talk about any other category, let's say supplements, it's sitting in pharmacies and sitting in open market. So open market in Nigeria builds trust. And the other channels, they build, it builds that first contact point with your customer, because that is where they're going and looking at it for the first time. That is where your product is speaking for itself. That's your first branding. And this channel strategy of your distribution makes a huge difference in this market, which a lot of marketers miss. They do not understand distribution as a key element. But for us, every single touch point, starting from our pack, starting from the carton, outer cartons, the packaging materials, the other promotional materials, the distributor signages, as little as distributor lunch boxes. Because you know that your distributors are going to bring lunch boxes where they are going to eat food every day. They have kids who are going to go to school every day. So going to that extent of brand, giving them items which are so thoughtful and mindful, where you know that they have kids, you're giving them school bags, you're giving them lunch boxes, you're giving them things where at every single touch point where they are going to think about you throughout the day, and it's going to keep reiterating in their brain. And when you have that consistency, it sticks. So that's how I think.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Thank you. What are the biggest marketing mistakes that you see that you've probably made before, that if you had an opportunity to correct, you would correct them? Or let me rephrase it in a better way. What are marketing mistakes you've made in the past that if you could turn back the hands of time, you would correct them? I'm sure you've had failed campaigns. I'm sure you've had campaigns where we could have done this better, we could have took this better. That's the part people don't like to talk about camera, but we want you to talk about it on camera.
Um, Let me just think about it.
Okay. The fact that you have to think about it simply means that almost every campaign is successful.
I mean, we always have some of the learnings. I wouldn't call it as failed campaigns. I would call it as a learning in our language as a group. That's how we say it. We um,
Might be
so
okay.
let me just explain a little bit in the sense that for us, what has not worked so far.
Okay.
Uh, right now, we started in Nigeria, right, and became number one in 7 years in the hair extension category. Now, after 3 years of entering into the market in Nigeria and starting to do the right things and building on it, we launched the product in Kenya market. We launched the product in South African markets and certain other markets as well, Ghana, Ivory Coast. And that was the enthusiasm of, the group and the entire team members who are working in the group, thinking that we won in this market, so we will win in all the other markets. And that's where I would say my biggest learning is Africa is one, but Africa is diverse. People here, the cultures, the thought processes, everything is pretty diverse and it's different. You cannot copy paste what you did in Nigeria, in Kenya, or South Africa. South Africa is a totally different ballgame altogether. The thought process of the consumers there is, I would say, extremely, it's on the edge. It's let's say more towards a Western culture kind of economy. Like, for example, if I have to say, an instance, in Nigeria, we sell a lot of colorful hair, greens and the reds and the orange and different colors. And it is accepted here. Women wear the hair thinking they are showcasing their identity through the color of the hair what they are choosing. In South Africa, if you ask the consumers, they would say that they are adults and not children, that they're going to use the colorful hair. So it's that vast.
Wow.
The thought processes are that vast. The distribution channel is completely different. There, it's modern trade and there are traditional marts.
Yeah.
Here, it's in Nigeria, it is open markets and salons and the hairstylists communities that we interact with, which has helped. It's structured. In the other countries, the hairstyling communities are not this structured.
I guess. It's so interesting that you kind of copy and paste tactics. You have to study the markets before you penetrate the markets so that your results can be successful. Absolutely amazing. We're going to be playing a game. It's called This or That. Very, very easy. And all you have to do is to tell me what your preference is, and we'll keep on going from there. So the first I'll ask you is brand storytelling or aggressive sales conversion?
Brand storytelling.
Why?
Storytelling would create memory. It would stick to the consumer and they would be loyalist to your product.
Okay. Premium positioning or mass market domination?
Must teach.
Why?
Because it puts you in the middle and I mean, you can gain volume and still be premium positioned.
That makes sense. Instagram dominance or TikTok virality?
Depends on the audience. I don't know if I can pick one here.
Lush hair.
For lush hair, TikTok.
Okay. Speak to everyone or deep niched audience?
Deep niched audience.
Any reason for that selection?
If you're speaking to everyone, you're speaking to no one.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Follow data strictly or trust creative instinct?
Follow data and then build your creatives.
Okay. I like where this is going. Rebrand completely or stick to legacy. Identify even if it's outdated. I'll change this question. I'll ask you something else. Lose brand identity or lose market share?
Lose none.
I was actually expecting that anyway. Wow, it was such an amazing conversation, guys. I am so excited. I'm thrilled that we're having this conversation here. And don't forget to, of course, like, share to your friends. Please, I want you to rewatch this conversation. It was absolutely amazing. And with Rita here, I'm hoping that we actually get to have more conversations and some more interesting conversations in marketing. Any final words to anybody who's listening right now?
For the beauty enthusiasts who are listening right now, I would say iconic brands are built in any of the markets. It's not the biggest spenders who win. It's the biggest learners.
That's a powerful statement. The biggest learners. That's a podcast topic on its own. I'm sure we'll get to explore that sometime soon. Right.
So that's the most important thing, because beauty is always it's ever evolving. It's going into a different way. I would say a different topic, which probably we could speak about in the next conversation, which is how beauty in the future is going to merge into wellness.
Say something to that.
Right now, the consumers are not just planning to look beautiful from the outside. They want to be beautiful from the inside. That's why, for example, there are collagen supplements which people are taking to look beautiful so that their skin is healthy from the inside. And then they buy products which are also infused with collagen so that it can help on the outside of the skin. So it's a combination. That's why I said where beauty is going, it's going to go into the wellness merge.
Wow.
And that's the probably next topic which we could speak about.
Wow. That's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Rita.
The viewers should probably go and check it out. This is something which is going to be a 6 trillion plus industry on its own.
Wow. Do you want to tell them about your handles?
You can follow me at Kakka on Instagram. And I have a YouTube page which is called Know and Grow, where you can also follow me. Because I always, like I said, I'm a lifetime learner. I'm a highly curious person. So I always ask so many questions from anyone who I meet, which of course everybody should, so that you can learn.
Wow.
And that's how, if you want to know more, just follow Know and Grow.
Thank you so much. You have a wonderful time, guys. And please hit the notification bell so that you'll be the first person to know when we upload a video. Cheers.